I've been meaning to make some more biology videos, and I've got one in the works. However, making good videos about science tends to be a bit harder than for a lot of other subjects. This is especially true for me because there are a lot of really great videos about evolution already on YouTube, so I don't feel the need to rehash a lot of the same subjects that are covered very well by other people. See my favorites for a few real gems. Despite my interest in science and most of my videos being about science, most of the criticism I receive comes from a religious perspective. I've tried in many cases to steer these conversations away from religion to the science at hand, but this is often futile. Evolution stands alone as the sole scientific explanation for the diversity of life that we see, so many attacks against it end up being along the lines of, "I can't believe that happened." So when people respond with something like, "Well, show me a testable alternative explanation," they often get a veiled attack on the whole basis of science, testability. See, the problem is that if your religious dogma teaches you that miracles are responsible for something, and these miracles are untestable, then your dogma will win out when A, you have a strong faith in that dogma, and B, you don't understand the natural explanation well enough. Now, the more progressive theists out there realize that science is a more reliable way of understanding the natural world than ancient religious texts, and where conflicts arise they tend to side with science. I'm glad to have the backing of many theists, who I truly respect when it comes to this defense of science against fundamentalism. From the perspective of scientific knowledge, together we can beat back the ignorance of a Bronze Age view of the natural world. People draw on the fact that atheists are a minority and distrusted by most theists to attack evolution as a step towards atheism, since it provides a natural means for life to have arisen. If you have a God of the gaps view of religion, then I can see how one might believe that accepting evolution brings a person closer to atheism by filling in one of those gaps, and thus making the God of the gaps smaller. But what's so bad about being an atheist? A larger percentage of Americans disapprove of atheists than Muslims, homosexuals, or African Americans. About half wouldn't vote for an atheist for president, no matter how qualified he was. Why do so many people behave with such bigotry towards atheists? People attack those few vocal atheists who criticize certain religious beliefs as being the perpetrators of anti-religious hate speech. Well, why the double standard? Atheism has been legally designated as a religion in the U.S. for the purposes of discrimination, even if it isn't a religion in the technical sense. So how come people still seem to think it's okay to bash and discriminate against atheists? Why do we atheists hear so much silence from our theist friends when decent people are called immoral, wicked, or fools? I don't care if it's written in your holy book, it's still bigotry. And compared to communist dictators. Heck, some people falsely claim that Hitler was an atheist just so that they can use it as another excuse to hate and distrust all atheists. But this is bigotry at its finest. Demonizing a diverse group of individuals based on a label that they share? Some of the best people I know are atheists, and some of the worst are theists. Why can't we just base our feelings about people on a case-by-case basis? There are kind and unkind people, moral and immoral, of every culture, race, sexual orientation, and religion. How many of you theists actually believe that if you knew that you would not be punished or rewarded after death for your actions while you lived, that no one was watching you, you would turn into an evil asshole who cared only for yourself? If you can honestly say that you would, then you're already an evil asshole. And if God is omniscient, he already knows this. A truly good person is good even when they know no one is watching. Only a moron is evil when they know they'll be punished for it. How long do you think a tribe of chimps would survive if they didn't instinctively work together to some extent and have some form of empathy? So, to all my theist brothers and sisters out there, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, or whatever, whether you're a subscriber or just someone who came across this video, have some empathy for us atheists. Be kind and put your prejudices aside. If you want your beliefs to be treated with respect, treat others' beliefs with, or lack thereof, with respect too. If you want to critique a particular belief, do it with some civility. I know there are plenty of atheists out there who mock religious beliefs, but what do you expect from one of the most discriminated groups in the world? Set an example, and cut us some slack. And fellow atheists, let's try to do the same. Let's save the mockery of deeply held beliefs and values that both sides seem to enjoy for the appropriate comedic settings, and leave it out of the serious discussions. I don't know. Am I wrong here? I'm not entirely innocent either. But can't we enjoy a good-natured laugh at each other's expense from time to time in certain situations and still respect each other? Can't we treat each other like decent human beings in order to have a civil dialogue? Can't we also avoid the bigotry of labeling whole groups of people based on stereotypes, especially when it comes to judgments of moral character? In the famous words of Rodney King, can't we all just get along? Peace. Here's an afterthought. I talked about theists and atheists, but I left out the agnostics. If you claim to be an agnostic, I recommend you try to figure out which way you lean. Agnostic just means you don't know, and guess what? Nobody does. Anyone who claims to is just being cocky. So, you're either an agnostic theist or an agnostic atheist. Which is it?